study on coronavirus fatality rates. One America's Pearson Sharp fact-checks the team at Verify and finds that they should do a little more verification before coming after OAN.
Whenever the mainstream media's narrative is challenged, they fly into a frenzy to discredit whatever is being said about it. Well, recently, One American News published a report discussing the dangers, or lack thereof, of the coronavirus, based on a study by medical scientists from UCLA and Stanford. That study downplayed the risks of coronavirus, claiming the chances of becoming infected or needing hospitalization are much lower than previously thought. Well, the mainstream media didn't like that. It goes against their narrative, and so they have worked to discredit the report. However, the findings are real and were gathered by two medical doctors, Dr. Rajiv Bhatia, a clinical professor of medicine at Stanford University, and Dr. Jeffrey Klausner, a professor of infectious diseases at UCLA. One American News simply took their findings and reported on them. Their study found significantly lower risks related to the coronavirus than was being reported in the media. In fact, one of the study's authors, Dr. Klausner, said, quote, "We were surprised how low the relative risk was." One American News was called out by the groundbreaking Verify team from WUSA9.com, who made a video disputing our report. They claimed that we were basically making up the numbers and had no facts to back up what we reported. These figures included the study's claim that there was a 1 in 3,836 chance of contracting coronavirus from a single contact, or a 1 in 852,000 chance of being hospitalized for coronavirus. But specifically, the reports targeted the finding that the chance of dying from the coronavirus was 1 in 19.1 million.
Our Verify researchers read through that study, and that 1 in 19 million statistic is never mentioned.
They insist this figure isn't a conclusion the study's authors came to. Well, someone needs to do a little additional verifying at Verify, because we didn't make that number up, and it's actually right here in the original report published by the authors. Don't worry, Verify. We'll throw a link in for you since your researchers obviously need a little help. Although Verify implies that our entire report is inaccurate, even when they contacted Dr. Bhatia, one of the study's authors, he didn't refute the numbers OAN reported. Instead, Verify claims he told them OAN's headline is a misrepresentation of his study, even though everything he says after that is exactly what OAN reported. First, Verify says he told them that the study is not meant to estimate a nationwide COVID rate. But that's not true, because in the study itself, the authors say, quote, "across the country, current probabilities of infection, transmission, hospitalization, and death from COVID-19 vary substantially, yet severe outcomes are still rare events." Maybe the team at Verify can tell us how nationwide differs from across the country. The studious Verify team tries again, saying Dr. Bhatia told them the study simply sets out to show, quote, "another method for calculating the average risk for someone contracting coronavirus," which is exactly what OAN reported. Here's a quote from our original report. They found that an average person in an average county has a 1 in 3,836 chance of getting infected with coronavirus. Both statements are taken directly from the study. Interestingly, it came to our attention after OAN's report was published. There are two versions of the same study, one of which includes these numbers and one of which doesn't. Yet both doctors appear to firmly believe the response to the coronavirus has been way overblown, and they even published a separate article in Cal Matters saying, quote, "the virus is 10 times less fatal than we first thought. The vast majority who catch it will have mild or no symptoms. Children are largely spared." Again, these are the study's own authors saying this, not One American News. The bottom line is the media didn't like their narrative on coronavirus being challenged, and so they attacked our report without ever even trying to contact us or get our response. But it's important to remember, whether it's popular or not, whether it follows the mainstream narrative or not, news is news and should just be reported. One American News uncovered this information and reported it. Journalism takes no sides. It only answers to the truth. For One American News, I'm Pearson Sharp.
Still ahead on this hour, One American News, Mayor